What if your backyard could pay your mortgage? Hi, I'm Phil Kruse, and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle. If you're thinking of buying a home or recently went through the process, surely the idea of a pool was discussed. Do you want one? Is it worth the maintenance? Better yet, is there space in your backyard to build one in the future? What if you've been thinking about the space in your backyard all wrong? Today, we're not going to be talking about pools. We're going to be talking about accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs, and they can be built right in your backyard here in Orlando. We're going to talk about what they are and why you should build one, how the laws in Orlando and statewide have changed to the benefit of ADU construction, and some creative ideas and pro tips about ADUs to help you decide if you want to either buy a home that has one or if you want to build one in your current home or maybe your future home. But first, before we get started, of course, I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners like you. So when it's your time to make a major real estate decision or make a decision on if you want to build an accessory dwelling unit, I am also a property developer. I can help you with that. Think of me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. Of course, a portion of all my commissions go to charity. I volunteer every Wednesday at the New Image Youth Center, and I'm happy to donate a portion of my commissions to a charity of your choosing. If we work together as either a buyer or a seller, or if you don't have a charity you're passionate about, I'll make my donation to the New Image Youth Center like I always do. Find me on all social platforms at Phil Kruse, Kruse, especially on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And follow me on YouTube by hitting the bell, and also on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, and turn on your notifications. I drop new real estate Orlando with lifestyle based content all the time. I just interviewed a pro wakeboarder here in Orlando on my last episode. So my podcast is certainly much more than just real estate. Okay. It helps you understand Orlando, what's going on in the city that I love so much and that you do as well. So you might have a dream to move your parents into an in-law suite in your home, or to take care of them, or for them to take care of your kids. That's why I love having my parents around, right? Me and my wife get more date nights. Or maybe your dream is to stay as far away from them as possible. Okay, I'm obviously joking, but what if you could move them into a second small house behind your home instead of an in-law suite, upstairs or a downstairs bedroom? And what if you could eventually, or even initially, if you don't want to move your in-laws in, what if you could rent that small house behind your home out and pay for your entire mortgage? Backyard gold, baby. Okay, what I'm talking about, of course, is those ADUs. The accessory dwelling units are essentially detached mother-in-law suites. They're like little bungalows behind your house. They got full kitchens, full bathrooms, and in some cases, even garages, and they could look amazing. They're little mini homes. You could imagine renting it out. They have some with porches. It's a really beautiful thing. Have you and your friend, or you or a friend, gone through the new build construction process? If you have, or you've heard of it, well, building an ATU is the same thing. It's like building a brand new house. So if you currently live in a home and you are considering building an accessory dwelling unit behind your house, you're going to want to understand these next few attributes, at least as it is today of this recording, April 2025. In order to build an ADU, you have to have your property homesteaded. It has to be your homesteaded property. That generally means it's your primary residence. And if you don't have homestead exemption on your primary residence, you need to jump off this podcast. You need to call me or call the Orange County property appraiser and get your homestead exemption so you can save a boatload of money on your taxes. It's a huge mistake. If you bought a home this year in 2025, you have until February of 2026 to apply for homestead. And if you bought one last year, you better get it done. They might let you retroactively save on your taxes. But anyway, homestead exemption, it generally means it's your primary residence. Did you know that some people manipulate homestead exemption? A little tangent here. Some people will homestead the most expensive piece of real estate in their portfolio. So maybe you live in a modest home and you bought a more expensive home as an investment, a second property. Some people might choose to say that's the homesteaded property. So they save more money on their taxes over there, but they don't actually live in it. So it can get kind of goofy, but you can kind of manipulate the system if you want it. Now back to building the ATUs. It's the same process as building new construction. So it's the same permitting process. which takes time and can be a headache. It's the similar construction costs. Okay. So your cost per square foot are going to be anywhere from, I don't know, right now, $180 per square foot, all the way up to 200 or 300 per square foot. If you're building the world's most beautiful ADU and macking it out like a Taj Mahal, putting, marble all over the facade, we can get that thing super expensive. And it might also be a little bit more expensive actually than new construction due to the limited access. The harder it is for your general contractor and their trades to get in there and build the house, the more they're going to have to charge. And guess what? You're going to be living literally at a construction site. When you're building a brand new home, you're at least living in an apartment, a rental, you're living in your current home, and you don't have to sit there and deal with all the crap that comes with a construction site. Something to keep in mind, you're going to have contractors walking around your house for the next 6 months or more, and your yard's going to get torn up. All right, so make sure you're ready to have your fence removed, your grass destroyed, but it's probably all worth it in my opinion. And remember, I am a realtor and property developer, so I have unique insights and resources like the contractors that can get this done. And what I'm about to share with you later in this podcast is going to be a huge revelation to really make what I just described a little bit easier. So what if you could make this whole process faster and not get in a fight with your spouse along the way? Okay. Ready, set, orange. Orange County named their program that, Ready, Set, Orange. And they just released this brand new program associated with ADUs in January of this year, January of 2025. This thing is brand new. It streamlines the process of ADU construction. How? They have 8 floor plans that are already designed. The plans are approved and have been engineered. So you can literally just take their plans for free, right? So that's going to save you thousands, probably over $10,000 of architects' design and a huge amount of time, many, many months of not only going through the design, waiting for the engineering to be done, and submitting that to the county for permitting. And then all the back and forth, they make comments and you got to make changes. It could be a giant pain in the butt. All you're going to have to do is select one of those floor plans. You can pick your finishes, think your colors, your tile, your countertops, all that kind of stuff. And that's it. Don't worry. You can still fight with your spouse about that. Okay. Less design decisions. I can tell you that my wife and I built a custom home and we live in it now and we love it. Okay. But it was one of the most stressful times in our lives. Let me tell you, third world problems. It was during COVID. We were giving birth and then eventually had our third child and we're building a custom home. And we had to select every piece of the floor plan. We didn't hire an architect. We found a floor plan online. We gave it to our builder who drew it up. We had to make these changes. It was a lot. And every step of the way was extremely stressful. So being able to build an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit behind your home that maybe you're less emotionally attached to because it's not your forever home that you're going to be living and raising your kids in, boom, pick one of these Orange County plans, move forward, make it look nice and modern so you can get some great renters in there. And it's easy. Okay. Some of them are already designed modern. They range from 500 to 700 square feet. They're all single bedroom. Some even have garages. Now, listen, I know what you're thinking out there. You're thinking, man, could I build one of these things and have an Airbnb business in my backyard? Technically, no. Did you know that Airbnbs, short-term rentals, are illegal in all of Orange County and all of incorporated city of Orlando? Now, you're probably thinking this, Phil, what are you talking about? There's vacation homes all over the place, especially down by Disney. That's the rub. There are some special zoning districts in other counties down there by Disney, like Osceola, that have different rules. But if you don't live in one of the very few special zoning districts in Orange County that are earmarked for short-term rentals, you can't do a short-term rental unless you live in it and you're renting out a room. So, and this is a detached home and they don't consider it a room. So you can't do Airbnb. So in Orange County, even with their Ready, Set, Orange program, your minimum rental is 180 days. So half a year, but I say technically, all right, are you going to get caught? Code enforcement's looking for you. Are they checking Airbnb in your area? Do you have neighbors that are going to blow the whistle on you? These are all things you might want to consider if you want to take the risk of doing Airbnb in a basically legal area. I had a friend of mine, he's been doing it for years, making great money. He finally got caught. Okay. I have other colleagues that started doing it, knowing the risks, got caught in the first few months. And I'm sure there's other people out there that are still doing it right now, laughing all the way to the bank. You can always transition from an Airbnb to a long-term rental if you had to. Of course, the rub being you've already bought all the furniture, so then you just rent it out long-term, fully furnished. Anyway, Ready, Set, Orange. I'm going to have links to their floor plans right here below YouTube if you're watching there, or if you're listening. It's going to be on the episode description, so you can jump on your app and click on the link. It'll take you right to these cool floor plans. They have great pictures, awesome descriptions. It really will bring this to life for you. Now, the city of Orlando is slightly different. City of Orlando is like a jigsaw puzzle piece superimposed into a nice little rectangle that is Orange County. You could be living right next to go across the street and it might be City of Orlando, and on your side of the street, you're unincorporated Orange County. So make sure you know the difference, because the rules are slightly different for ADUs. What's the easiest way you can tell? Well, if you don't want to go on your computer and jump on the Orange County Property Appraiser's website and put in your address, which is super easy, it'll say municipality right there at the top. Boom. It'll either say unincorporated, which means Orange County, or Orlando. Or if you live in the city of Winter Park, you might be in incorporated Winter Park, or one of these other smaller cities in Orlando that may or may not have any sway over this. But generally, it's Orange County has the rules, and then unless you're in the city of Orlando, and slightly less if you're in Winter Park. So, and you can look at the street signs if you don't want to. Like I said, go outside, look at the street signs. Did you know that in the city of Orlando, there's a little logo next to the street sign? So I live on Summerlin Ave. If you go out there and look at Summerlin Ave, there's either an orange or there's a fountain, the Lake Eola fountain, on the name of your street. So if it shows the picture of a fountain, you're in incorporated city of Orlando. If it shows a picture of an orange, you're in unincorporated Orange County. Bet you didn't know that. Fun fact. Now, so in the city of Orlando, you can rent out the ADU for as little as 30 days. So technically, they still don't allow short-term rentals. At least that's what they say. But you could do short-term rentals and have the stipulation that it's got to be at least 31 days of rent. And the city of Orlando only allows you to build an ADU if your property has access to sewer. This is not explicitly stated on Orange County's paperwork. At least I haven't seen it. And to the best of my knowledge, you could build an ADU, add an additional septic system on your property, or potentially have your current septic system renovated, or maybe it's big enough, probably not. You could have it renovated, have essentially a new system put in to serve both your current house and your accessory dwelling unit, and they can share the same septic system. We're going to need to check with the Florida Department of Health here in Orange County and statewide to confirm that that is possible. But it's definitely not in the city of Orlando. You got to have sewer. The cool thing is you can just tap right into the sewer in your street. It's going to cost you $3 or $4 grand. Really not that big of a deal. And if you live in the city of Orlando, there's a much higher likelihood that you are on sewer. If you live in unincorporated Orange County, much less likely. Here's another hack if you just want to go outside and look, like looking at the street signs. If you go up and down your street, if you see manhole covers, those are probably manhole covers associated with sewer. If not, you don't have sewer. That's a guarantee. Now, you may have a manhole cover and it's a wastewater cover. So you want to look on the manhole cover and it's got to say sanitary. If it says sanitary, you got sewer running in your street. Sometimes the surveyors come and they spray paint little arrows around them with green. If you see green, that means sewer. You still want to double check. There are rare circumstances where a sewer line might be running through your street and the city doesn't have the capacity in that line to handle any more sewage coming in from another house. Again, that's rare, but it's possible. You want to consider, is your lot big enough? Regardless of whether you're in Orange County or incorporated city of Orlando, you still have to follow the same setback restrictions associated with new construction. So if you're not familiar with new construction, I'll explain that for you. If you had a virgin piece of land, like a quarter acre, and you wanted to build a house on it, depending on the zoning, you can have side setbacks. Let's say you can only be 5 feet from your property line on either side. You might have to be 25 or 30 feet from the front of your property, and you might have to be 25 or 30 feet from the rear of your property. In most cases, that's not an issue. But there are a lot of small lots in and around Orlando, especially near downtown, that are like 1/10 of an acre. And you're like, Phil, I've seen people put 2 townhomes on those things. I've seen them put mansions on these things. Well, they have different zoning, all right, which is a higher density zoning, which can allow near zero lot lines, almost no backyard if you want. So it just all depends on your lot. Maybe you have a large lot, maybe the accessory dwelling unit can fit back there within the setbacks. And again, do you want to do this instead of a swimming pool? All right. I can imagine some people out there they live on sewer, their swimming pool is trash. Maybe their kids moved out. They don't want to deal with the swimming pool anymore. You could literally fill that thing in and plop an accessory dwelling unit. I would like to see if that house would then sell more. If you renovated the pool, versus renovating the pool, making it, resurfacing it and getting it nice, then trying to sell your home versus filling it in with dirt and building an accessory dwelling unit and connecting it to sewer. What do you think would sell more? I think we know. I think we know the ADU would sell for more, wouldn't it? All right. So things also may be changing statewide. What we're talking about so far is City of Orlando and Orange County, generally speaking. But just recently, just this month, I'm recording again in April of 2025, the Florida State Senate, so it's not completely approved yet, but unanimously, the Florida State Senate passed a law, well, not passed a law, but it went through the state Senate for something that they're calling granny flats. Granny, like grandma, only in Florida, right? Come on. You can't call them ADUs. You got to call it a granny flat law. It is so funny. So basically saying that all single family residential zoning has to allow for ADUs. Now, right now, if you're in the city of Orlando, generally R1, R2, R3, many, if not most, of the residential zoning, you're allowed to do ADUs. But there's so many other stipulations, right? Sewer versus septic, lot size, setbacks that are going to disqualify a lot of the units. But here it is. The state of Florida is coming around and saying, hey, look, we got an affordability crisis. We got a rental shortage. We got a housing shortage and a rental crisis. We need as much square footage of living space as possible and reduced, rent levels. If you're renting a house in somebody's backyard and you have to park on the street and walk around to get to your unit, you're probably not going to be paying as much rent. I can almost guarantee you're not going to be paying as much rent as if you rented a regular house, right, with a driveway and a garage and stuff like that. So you might be able to have a reduced rent and get yourself in a nice school zone. Over there in the Delaney Park area, somewhere in Winter Park, you might be able to find these old lots that have space with sewer connection to live in there. And there's a lot of older homes that were built back in the day with accessory dwelling units. Then the city and the county got away from that, and here they're back. So the state of Florida has heard us. They know that this is something we need to do. Will it become a formal law? I don't know. My guess is that it is because it's pretty broad. They're just saying all residential zoning units must allow for it. But what does that mean? Of course, it means you still have to check all the boxes for zoning, for setbacks and health reasons, sewer and septic. All right. So the city of Orlando, to me, is the best city in the United States. I've said it a million times. We have no state income tax. We're the fastest growing city in the state of Florida. We're only an hour from Cocoa Beach and Port Canaveral. We got Disney here. We got UCF. Any given year, it's either the number one or number two largest university in the country. We have world headquarters of major conglomerates here, huge employment centers. Orlando is the best. We have the biggest airport in the state of Florida. We're the most visited city in the United States for domestic travel. Did you know all this? We got a train that connects us down to Miami now. Like, I could just go on forever. And here's just another reason why the city of Orlando is the best. We are more progressive than our peers. And if somebody else is more progressive, we're going to catch up quick. We say, hey, that's a great idea. Let's adopt it. So ADUs are here. They're coming. Expect it. Consider it an option. And if you're savvy, if you're an investor, if you're a flipper, and you know how to manipulate the Homestead process, or if you're smart enough to work with me and talk to me about this process and partner with me, I'd be happy to help you. So don't forget about my real estate services, whether it's an ADU conversation or helping your parents sell their house or an investment property, anything you can think of. I'm here. I'm also a master listing specialist, which is needed more than ever nowadays in this more balanced market where buyers have even more power than they ever had. You got to get creative. You got to market your property great. I can help you with that using something called the auction effect. We'll get that thing under contract quick. Of course, follow me on all my social media platforms. Phil Kruse with a K, Kruse, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn are my big three. I'm on TikTok. I'm everywhere, really. And of course, again, subscribe to my podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, wherever you're listening to. I'm here to help you. I want to serve you. I got all kinds of great advice. Check out my library. This is my 70th episode, and I ain't stopping. Okay. So always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Thanks for watching me. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Have a great day, everybody.